What's up and what's happening, TPE family? Welcome back to another episode of the Pivot Experience podcast, where our aim and goal is to help leaders get better each and every week. My name is Alex Seal, and I've had the joy and the pleasure of working for the world's most caring company for the last 22 years. And in that time frame, I've had the opportunity to meet incredible people and just to grow as a leader. I'm fortunate enough to be able to share my experiences and my development, and I'm also able to bring on guests that I've had a chance to grow with, build with, and just really have a deep relationship with that I feel like it's going to bring a lot of value to you all. On today's show, we have a gentleman by the name of Sean Perrodin. Sean Perrodin is a seasoned culinary professional. He is a entrepreneur. He's owned restaurants. He's done product distribution. He is a giant in the culinary space, and he's also now in the financial literacy and financial education world, and where he's helping people build wealth and do a lot of incredible things for themselves. And I'm just happy to have him on the platform. I'm thankful that he carved out a little time to come down to the city and sit with us and have a conversation. So I'm delighted to be able to bring this episode or bring this guest to you all today. And so let's just get ready to enjoy the episode. What's up and what's happening, TPE family? We're back with another episode of the Pivot Experience podcast. The Pivot Experience podcast exists to bring value to leaders each and every week. And as you guys know, we like to bring on guests who I feel like bring a lot of value. I've made some great relationships along the way during my career. And this gentleman right here, Sean Perrodin, I met Sean through a mutual friend. I believe it was Felicia Young who gave me your number. And he had a restaurant here in town called I Creole. It was just I Creole, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so Sean, and if you guys are from Beaumont listening, y'all remember the tea cakes, y'all remember the tea cake pancakes. I know that's one of my favorites. He turned me on to chicken sausage from Market Basket. He brought a lot of great flavors here, and he gave me the opportunity to be a part of his business through social media management. And we did a little bit of business management and leadership development with him and his staff. And I'm just very thankful to you for giving me that opportunity. You didn't know me from left or right. You just was told that I was somebody that could possibly add value to what you do. And I never really, I guess, had a chance to say thank you for that because I was young, trying to figure out what my business was from a leadership development and leadership consultancy, and you taking a chance on me to let me come into your operation was incredible. I've got Sean Perrodin here. He is the author of Life's Spice Rack, Amazon #1 bestseller, which it's available on Amazon and everywhere else you can get books at, correct? And so I'm going to let Sean, I'm get done rambling here. I'm going to let Sean introduce himself and kind of tell the audience who you are and what you're about.
Yes, sir. Welcome, TPE family. Once again, my name is Sean Perrodin. I'm seasoned culinary professional, 25 years in the game. I am an entrepreneur, now best-selling book author, and a business coach. At the end of the day, who is Sean Perrodin? I'm a person that believes in people and I'm a people builder. People builder of helping people understand their goals and dreams and inspiring them to be their best version of themselves. So that's what Life Spice Rack's all about, finding that you inside of you.
So I think you kind of touched on our first question, kind of what inspired you to write this book, Life Spice Rack. Now, for context, me and Sean had some business, maybe 2 years ago, 3 years ago, where he was trying to, again, trying to figure out, how he's going to move in this space. He's such a force. He has so much information and knowledge that, sometimes you can have so much, you got to figure out how to focus it, right? And I think was the season that Sean was in a couple of years ago. And then one day I look up and there's this book that Sean is promoting, and just how do you get to that point from then to now?
Well, you got to fail in order to figure it out. Because when life is good, you don't think you think you're on a high, right? And so it's nothing you need to worry about, nothing you need to think about. But when you fail, it makes a time for reflection. And so I failed in the food business, something I didn't plan to do, but you can't control the end result of things. But I learned from that. And so I read a book, or I was told to read a book called Halftime. And at that time, in halftime, I was turning 50. And so by reading the book of Halftime, it talked about taking your significance, taking your success to purpose. Why are you chasing success when you should be chasing your purpose? And that was like a slap in the face. So in that time frame, I had to be still because God says, be still. I can only talk to you when you be still. I can only talk to you in quiet times. And so I've been still for a while. But also knew in my heart that I want to write a book. I knew just something I want to do. I didn't know what the title's going to be, what the chapter's going to look like, where it's going to come from. And I kept putting off for a couple of years, and I got the nudge to commit to it. It's something out of my box. I said, let me do this, right? Right. So I started writing a little while, and I stopped. But the first 3 to 4 chapters was the hardest because I'm writing about me, but also how I was born into the world. But because how I was born doesn't determine how I will end. And so I had to reflect back on how to write those first 2 to 3 chapters without making my family mad, my mama mad, my daddy mad, without giving her too much information, right? But a little bit, but show some transparency, let the reader feel the chapters that was being laid out. And then I thought about I was trying to avoid my past. And so one of my colleagues told me, you don't throw the bathwater and the baby away. You got to take that with you because that's made you who you are. You're trying to go into another space. Yes, I get it, but don't deny who you once was because that's in you. People know you. They love you for that. You've touched so many lives doing that, right? And so I had to really accept that. But I was running away from the hurt of it, the hurt of failing in the business. So I'm trying to run away from the one thing that gave me the most joy. So that's food, right? And I like to tell people, you ever put bad food in your mouth, it's hard to smile. When you put good food in their mouth, they will smile forever and they're going to always remember you forever because of that lasting, memorable moment of what it tastes like and felt like, right? And so I've done a lot of that. And so, I mean, I've helped a lot of people, changed a lot of people's lives. And the book, man, God will give you the vision. It's up to you to follow it. And I didn't know how it was going to be formatted, but I knew I wanted to talk about food and my life and kind of have a play on words. I'm a creative thinker. And I've learned I'm a creative writer.
Yeah.
And so that's how Light Spice Rack came.
And I think it's funny you said that because I can probably recall you not wanting to talk about the food piece. Like I think in our last interaction, when we talked here and there, but just when we were really in conversation, you was like, "Well, that was before. I don't want to be known for that." And so when I saw the title of your book, it kind of hit me a little bit. I was like, well, he must be going back to some of the roots of, kind of, where you got your, where you made your name at. And so that's pretty neat for you to have that full circle moment. And I guess for me, like, I'm in food too. And I guess there's some level of like, it's compounding when you fail. You're already in food. So there's already some stigma, right? In terms of your professional choice. But then if you don't succeed in it, I can see how that can compound the frustration or compound the hurt. Can you share like a particular story or lesson from the book that resonates with your readers the most? Like what's a standout story in the book that people can look forward to?
Man, there's so many chapters. But the one that stands out the most is the chapter on a family of change.
Okay.
And when I say family of change, I mean denying how you were brought up to be something that they can't see. To raise your children in a way people think you're kind of crazy, but now they see the fruits and they're like, how amazing is that? To be a person, and I tell my kids that my kids are 27 now, and daughter 27, son 25. I reminded them at the time of COVID because that's the time family came together, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I brought some stuff that they didn't even know about. And they're like, oh my God, I didn't know you've been through this. I know you felt like that, or whatever. As parents or as a family, we have to be authentic with those that's around us. We give our kids the illusion that we got it great. But really, their greatness is because of us. And so my kids right now are doing great because of us. When you have a kid on your own, now you got to duplicate that.
Yeah.
But right now, you still riding on the high of me,
Yeah.
right? Your fruits is because of me,
Yeah.
because I chose to make the change. So you're a result of the change. Um, and my kids are grateful and they're appreciative of it. You know, my immediate family. Well, let me talk about my family background real quick. Uh, Plant workers, hard laborers, entrepreneur spirit, but just dabbed in it, uh, but conformed to the job. And nothing wrong with that, right? Um, Entrepreneurship not for everybody. Uh, but sometimes we can get lost in a job and we're not able to live our purpose life. And so family of change talks about that. Even a part family changes when we chose to go to a church as a family because I didn't grow up really that way. I grew up in Catholicism, but I decided to go a different path and really learn about God and me being a leader of the house. Where my family, we all got baptized together. That's a family of change. That inspired the church. And then after that, as a family, we would pray together in our living room before we go to bed at night. That's a family of change. And everybody shared in prayer. So now we can be anywhere and ask my kids to pray, or they'll do it. No fear, right? They can pray. When we have gatherings and everybody say, well, hold on, where's Sean at? Because we all got to get together and pray.
Yeah.
That's a family of change.
Yeah, I mean, as the leader of the home, you hit the nail on the head. It's like your responsibility to instill those core values and to instill those things that you want to see. And I think it's really compelling for you to kind of belabor on this point of like being authentic and not denying what your past is. Because I think sometimes as parents, we like to project that we didn't do anything wrong or we didn't have any problems. But when we realize is if we're true to our kids, I think that makes us look a little bit more relatable to them. And so the advice that we're going to give them in those moments where they mess up, they'll take it a little bit better because they understand that we're being real with them about the things and the mistakes that we made.
Hmm.
So I love that. I love that. And I watch your posts on Facebook, and you talk a lot about the family aspect of things. And I think a lot of times, those of us who get into these spaces where we want to be influencers or speakers or authors, we kind of push that part to the side because we don't want that to be public facing. Now I get like wanting to be private and wanting to protect your family, but I love the fact that you prioritize keeping them in the front. Even though it's crazy for me to hear that you say your son is 25, because I remember he worked with us for a little while
Yes.
during the senior year. So I just, being around your family, I guess really when he was 16, 17, back in the restaurant,
Yep.
when he was doing this thing, and to see him, I think, not to get too personal. I know he's working for a law firm now. I know you
Yes.
always wanted to be a lawyer.
Yes.
And so I think that's a testament to what you're saying in terms of like all of the values that you're instilling in them. You're starting to see the fruit of that labor. I think the Bible says like your kids are supposed to be like olive branches, an
Hmm.
extension of you and what you do.
Yep.
So I think you're an embodiment of that. So
And just one other thing on that family change part. As parents, as families, as people that have influence in young lives, what I've learned is we need to mold them. No, not mold them, but guide them in the direction they want to be in. Too many times we're trying to mold our children to be something that they don't want to be. And so we think they're not behaving, they're disciplined, they're disobedient. But really that's not the case. Let them be who they're designed to be and guide and show them the rights and wrongs of going in that direction. Instead of trying to tell them who we think they should be. Because we all got a gift. We all got a purpose. I birthed a child, that's not my child.
mhm.
Right? They got to go live in their own life. They got to make their own name for themselves. Yes, they're gonna learn and steal what I shared in them. But at the end of the day, they got to make their own name, right?
Yeah.
But then they got to carry our name,
Yeah.
right? So double responsibilities. But um, My son told one day, he said, "Dad, I'm never gonna be in the food business." Nah, man, I've been around too much. But guess what? They cook with pride at home. When they have an event, they make sure things are right. My daughter the same way,
Yeah.
right? They don't eat the same meal. They always cook something different. I used to bring them sushi for lunch at school.
Yeah.
Kid like, who eats sushi for lunch? Oh, we do. In our home, we always ate different ethnic foods. We never had, our tradition was not normal,
Yeah.
but it also gave them exposure on how to act no matter where they go, right? So,
Yeah. No, that I think that's, I mean, we kind of branching off in the conversation, but I love it. I always, one of the conversations me and my wife have is like, our kids aren't, we shouldn't try to raise them to be like us. And I say, look at our parents. We're not doing what our parents did.
mhm,
The trajectory of our lives are different. And I think it's going to be the same for our kids. To
mhm,
your point, you just want to try to teach them right and wrong.
yeah,
So when they get older and they're in situations where they're making their own decisions, they can have something to call back to know like, hey, maybe I shouldn't do this or maybe I should do that.
yeah.
So I think that's awesome. And I think, we're talking about values and we're talking about just, I guess, the core of people. And I know that you're in the financial world as well, right? And so how do you talk about like financial elements and well-being in your book?
Um, it's something that people want to talk about, but it's one thing everybody want to go to work for.
Yeah.
And when I got into the business of have my own business, you know, we don't know everything going in business. And so most time when we go in business, we're not really a business. We don't have the business mindset. We have the managerial and the technical skills to go do the job, but don't have the business acumen to be successful, to manage the business, to be scalable, sellable, right? We don't think about
Hmm.
that. Most entrepreneurs or most business owners, they do that. They go in with the lack of financial knowledge. And so while I was in the business, I was seeking the financial knowledge, how to gain more, how to protect the business, how to grow the business, how to make the money work, how to uh, get wealth management. I kept getting denied. And so I was sitting at the right tables, but I didn't have enough meat at the table, right? I wouldn't bring no meat to the table,
Yeah.
right? I had a good heart and a good willingness, but I just didn't have enough. But I learned to listen. And so when I failed, and I didn't know what to do, it took me a year and a half to figure it out. I said to myself, well, hey, look, if I want to be in a money game, or I want to learn the money business, why not join it, right? At least when I join it, I can get information for myself, and I can figure it out. And then from there, I can decide what to do. So really, I got in the money business for myself first.
Hmm.
How to be better for myself, how to be better for my own family. Because, your kids watching, looking at, oh, dad got it going on. We can do this. We got all this going on. As you're making, you spend it,
Hmm.
and you give this lifestyle, everything is untouchable. But then you fail, everybody looking like, well, what happened?
Right. Right.
Right? And then, as a couple or as a married couple, we have different philosophies on money.
Hmm.
Right? One's a spender, one's a saver. You rarely have two spenders. They'll never have a house or nothing. Or you have two savers, they will never have nothing because they're afraid to spend it
Yeah.
or multiply. But money is a tool, and it's a tool. Money is a tool and a means of become a better manager of things that you're given. And so I had to learn that I got to be a better money manager personally, right, and
Hmm.
then professionally. Not that I wasn't, um, but I just didn't know some principles. I didn't know some concepts. So when I got in the money game, I learned the principles and the concepts.
Yeah, I think you're speaking to probably the heart of most entrepreneurs. Like I think a lot of people who get into the business space understand that they have a purpose and a passion, but you have to marry that purpose and passion with business and financial understanding. I think that's why there's a lot of great people who are starting business, but they don't. It's to me, I've always looked at it as two main components. You gotta have a great product or service, right? But then you got to also understand how to sell that, how to scale that. And I think that's exactly what you're saying. Like, I read something the other day when kind of flipped this back on the personal end. I read something the other day that a lot of people in the community want to try to provide a lifestyle or upbringing maybe that they didn't have,
Hmm.
right? And I think the quote said something to the effect of like, don't get so caught up in giving your kids what you didn't have that you don't teach them the stuff that you didn't know,
Hmm.
because what you're setting them up for is you're just giving them something without giving them the know-how of how to manage it or how it was acquired or how
Hmm.
do you keep it. And so I guess maybe can you like talk about some common misconceptions that most people have about money or finances as it relates to the business that you're in now?
Well, the more money we make, the more we spend,
Mm-hmm.
right? So we always say we never have enough money, but what's enough? Um, we don't think about how important our life is, but we protect everything around our life. And then when life happens, now you're mad because you can't take care of your life, right? Um, I have time, but wealth is built over time. So when you're young, a little money goes a long way. When you're
Mm-hmm.
older, you need a lot of money for the time you have left. And then, the younger generation don't like to think about retirement. The older generation live for retirement. When the older generation get to retirement, they don't have enough, not properly planned. Pensions are gone. No such thing. 401k is not okay, right? It's a 40-year plan. It wasn't supposed to be a retirement plan, right? And then the younger kids want to grow up and talk about YOLO.
Yeah.
And then it's all about now. But then when you wake up, what about this time? Well, I got time, right? My daughter told me one time, Dad, every time I see you, I was talking about money. Why was I talking about money? That's why I want to make sure I'm instilling you the knowledge that I have so that at one point it can sink in to know that I was always trying to help you sooner than later. Because I wish I had it sooner than later. Okay. Um, the best way I can teach people how to understand money is to think on paper, remove the emotion. And tell my wife and I have some time to do that. Um, but we make decisions off of emotion, and then we regret the decision that we're stuck into, right? Because we wasn't really thinking how is that be in our best interest. And we're just trying to keep up with people or whatever. So never chase the money because you're never gonna keep it, right? People always chasing a dollar.
Yeah.
So what's ever enough? And I think that's where we tend to lose ourselves. Um, and then learn how to calculate your risk. We don't do that. We just think it's we everything disposable and everything is going to be come right back. No, it ain't. Mm-mm. It takes a while to build, and when you fail, it takes a while to come back up.
Yeah. And I guess the crazy part about to add to that, it takes a while to build, it takes a while to come back up, but it don't take much to fall.
That's right.
It don't take much to fall. Like you can be, riding the wave of your success, but if you're not planning for any of the contingencies, a lot of that stuff can come in and surprise you
Yeah.
very quickly. I mean, that's one of my things that me and my dad talk about. He talks about just being open, just being transparent. Like he started retiring late. Like he was like, I didn't start really taking it serious until I was 40, in his mid 40s, and I knew enough to see like, oh, they're really like trying to stuff the account to get to a place to where he can retire, like not comfortably, but where you can survive, And I particularly now, and I'm sure this is stuff that you guys are talking about in your industry, just in the sense of like what people retired with maybe in 2019 or 2018 is maybe 30 to 40% less valuable now with all the inflationary pressures and just the cost, like just the general cost of living is so high. And so like what is the conversation like, and I know this is maybe a off book question and I'm just talking, like what is the
It,
conversation like in your business or in your world from a financial standpoint with the current landscape of high prices, and like how are you guys approaching that to help people maximize their retirement or maximize what they're saving?
and don't think that it's not off the book because that's in the book.
Okay. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I have a title, a chapter in the book. It's called "Be Wise or Be Wicked," and it talks about money. I have another part of the book that's called talks about parsley. I use the title parsley, but it's called "Money Matters and Money Moves." Uh, what we don't know when it comes to our money and our hard-earned money is the future, right? We can't predict the future, but we can understand history and past. Most people, a majority of Americans, money is deferred for later to be used. And if you understand later in life, do you think taxes will go up or down?
They're gonna go up.
So if you're deferring your lump sum of accumulation to be accessible for you later in life, knowing taxes are going to go up, how much will you keep?
Well, you're challenging my current financial strategy a little bit.
You understand that though?
Yeah, I got you.
So how do the wealthy keep the money?
Tell me.
Tax shelters,
Yeah.
right? They keep the money in the market, and they only pull a percentage out of what they need, and it's when they pay capital gains tax. But majority of the money is always protected in the market. Nobody can confiscate the money out of the market. It's there. It's protected. And then having it close to you, also in the tax shelters. And so very few of us know anything about tax-free money. We in tax now money. Tax now is your bank, your savings, your mutual fund, your stock bonds. And then your tax later money is your retirement at your job money. But the wealthy keep it little in those two buckets and majority in tax-free buckets.
Hmm. I guess I gotta read the book to get some more insight on that.
I got to keep my knowledge to myself.
There you go. Unless you
Keep
want
the
to
interest up.
engage, unless you want to
Keep,
engage in further business, and we'll get to how they can contact you towards the
yes, sir.
latter part of this.
Yes, sir.
But you mentioned failure earlier, which I don't think it was a failure. I think
It was not.
it was learning. But
Yes.
you phrased it as a failure
Yeah.
in the beginning of this. What are some of your key takeaways from that experience? I mean, I was there a little bit. I kind of saw some of the transition from our Creole to
Your Southern Creole foods to our Creole.
but then you went to the Beaumont Club
Yeah.
thereafter for a stint.
Yeah.
And so like what are some of your as you reflect back on that, either what are some takeaways or maybe what are some things you could have tweaked and you could have did a little bit different
Mm,
to impact that result?
mm, mm,
Or maybe
mm.
maybe one of them is not solicit, not let me in. you might have
No, not at all. You were a great resource. I was fighting for your intellect. I was fighting for your knowledge. We can learn a lot from younger people because they think forward. When you talk to people older than us, they think backwards, right? And so, how do you move forward talking to somebody that think backwards?
Yeah.
Yes, that's wisdom. Yes, that's experience and been there, done that stuff. But then, how do you still move forward, right? Because they're sharing what they've been through.
Yeah.
But that don't get me to where I'm trying to go.
Right.
So, my lessons learned that piece was when it comes to business, the question I was asked that I turned down was for the property, are you willing to do an appraisal? And I said no, because I trusted the owner. Had I done the appraisal, I would not be in the situation that I was when I went into the building. Uh, if you don't own the dirt, everything on top don't mean that. So I didn't have no leverage. Um, and then when the hurricane came through and everything shut down, if you don't own your space, how can they give you assistance? Because renting don't count. And so I couldn't get no assistance to even continue to fight for myself, right? And then when the business shut down and the city was shut down for 6 weeks, and then all my stuff is mildewed and damaged, how do you start when everything you have is gone? And so, just so I can put my faith in this a little bit, God says plan the end before the beginning. But most of us in getting business don't even plan the end. We just too busy excited about the beginning. But everything has an end. right? And so my advice would be to people that I learned. I'm a Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Business cohort. I joined that when I was learning to get out of business. Three questions: when will you die in the business? When will you duplicate the business? Or when will you sell the business? If you don't think about that in the beginning, then what you going to do as it goes on? Because everything has a time frame, right? And I didn't know none of that. I didn't know none of that. Till today, though, we still talk about the business, man. We love it. We miss it. We miss the people. We miss the food. We miss the thing that we were building, right? We were making good money and we were making a good presence. Uh, some people here in the Beaumont area say, "Bro, you was before your time."
Oh
We
yeah.
we weren't really trying to accept you, dog. You was before your time. I brought people to the community that don't normally go to the community. I had high profile people in the building that would not even travel that side of the town, right? So those things are still hold good to me. But at the end of the day, uh, do a good assessment. Never assume and never trust nobody's word. Because remember, in business, everybody trying to be for the best interest of themselves. Now, and one of my weaknesses is I'm too much of a caring person, and I'm too much of trying to help people. But nothing wrong with being a shrewd business person, because shrewd means you're protecting your best interests, right? It's not nothing wrong with being shrewd. Most successful people are shrewd.
Yeah, well, I guess to phrase it, just doing your due diligence.
Yeah.
Making sure that you check all the boxes, for your criteria, and I guess developing that criteria that that, hey, if these boxes are checked, then it's successful. I would tend to think that I'm a little bit like that, kind of just, oh yeah, I'm just gonna take your word on it in good faith, work. But I guess we got to have some history to operate in good faith. We
Mm-hmm.
got to have some. There has to be some I guess some equity, relationship equity built to be able to operate in good faith. So, yeah, no, that's really good, especially for those who are trying to get into the brick and mortar side of business, understanding what you're getting yourself into, and knowing the ins and outs, and I think you kind of spoke to just what type of protection do you have from an insurance standpoint? You didn't say this directly, but I kind of caught on, maybe not necessarily insurance, but just like what contingencies do you have in place in the event that things happen? I know, like for us, there's like loss of business insurance. There's a lot of things that most business owners probably don't know that's available to them.
Yep.
Given your geographical area, you might want to consider making sure that you have certain things in place. Yeah, it's a cost up front, but when you run into these issues, I mean, I think there was a restaurant here really recently that had a big thing happen. Like a car ran into their building. Don't know if they had all of the right plans and things in place to safeguard themselves from it, but hopefully they did. But yeah, no, because accidents happen. Natural disasters are real things, particularly here. So, all right, last question, and thank you so much for your transparency. Thank you so much for just being open and honest. Like, what's next for you? Like, what are your upcoming projects? Are we looking at a sequel or a prequel to Life Spice Rack? What does Sean Perrodin have going on over the next few months, next few years?
Um, since I had so much fun with the first book, of course, I got others coming out.
Yeah.
Everybody thought this first book was about recipes or my cooking. But my next book will have recipes, but more in a storytelling format.
Mhm.
Um, but I'm going to share my recipes. I've been collecting recipes since I first started in the business 25, 26, 27 years ago. So I have recipes that's dated like 1993, handwritten. So I want to document that into the book, right? Just showing how I'm really sharing these recipes. I'm not going to die in a grave with it. I'm going to let the world have it. Um, I'm also working on doing a cooking class, but from a holistic approach.
Okay.
And so when I say a holistic approach, one thing I'm enjoying the most, one thing I think people craving for is to eat. And so EAT will be the name of the company. And it's an acronym that stands for educate, assimilate, and taste what's at the table. So we'll do a hands-on little cooking demonstration But then after that, you're gonna sit at the table and have a conversation, a curated conversation about what you eat and how it affects your life in a community setting. So that's a franchisable model that I'm going to do. And then I'm launching my tea cakes business. I always called it my golden ticket when I first started the business, and so I'm actually going to move forward with it. So it's going to be another company called Tasty Tea Cake Company, and I'm starting off with doing pound cakes, little mini pound cakes, and then the pound cakes are actually going to be shipped and packaged in a gold bar, like
Okay.
right.
Yeah.
You think it's
Yeah. I see where you're going.
gold bar, right? And so it's going to be a package of conversation, uh, but you get the excitement of pulling out the box. Got my gold box, right? This will be a big conversation. So far it's doing good. I've been piloting it.
Okay.
I have 12 different flavors. It's gonna be your new fresh hot donut. It's gonna be your new best cookie.
Yeah.
Uh, and then from there, I'm just gonna let the product, grow and have fun. It's also aspiring to be like a franchisable model as well, where I want to bring in culinary students or young entrepreneurs to come in and take leadership and ownership of their own little franchisable unit.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you, I need to get on the tasting list or the whatever group VIP group, because I enjoyed your tea cakes, and I really missed them tea cake pancakes. Those were really good. Um, and I think what you said, to eat, whenever you get that rolling, I would like to, whenever the sign up is for
Yeah,
that,
yeah,
I'll be looking for that.
yeah.
I'm assuming it'll be close.
Next
It
month.
it will be within an hour of me, hour and a half of where I live, and so I should be able to
Well,
get there.
I can also bring it here.
Okay.
Yeah, I can bring it here, right?
Well, I would like to see if I can get in the inaugural one, like the
Okay.
first one. I want to see if we can, because that sounds like a cool date idea, at
Yeah,
least at
yeah,
a minimum,
yeah, 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 yeah.
cool date idea. But Sean, thank you again. Where can the people contact you if they want to either enjoy some of these good tea cakes, or if they want to get with you and on the financial end? How do they connect with you? How do they engage with you?
Yeah. They can connect with me at life lifespicerack.com. That's where they'll see my book. That's where they'll see the tea cake, pound cake that's available. Um, my social media, Instagram is Citrine Fin 8. They can follow me there.
Got it.
And so I'm in the rebranding phase of all this stuff
Yeah.
because I found my lane
Got
again.
it. Got it.
I'm excited to run. I'm in my purpose.
Good.
Uh, but yeah, that's where we'll start.
Okay. Well, there you have it. Go to lifespicerack.com,
Yep.
correct?
Yep.
And pick up one of these books. Here is the book, just in case you need to know what it looks like when you get there. Sean I'm sure he would appreciate if you purchased a copy, and also pick up a tea cake or two, pound cake while you're there. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I think this conversation was everything I thought it was going to be. Sean has a ton of experience, and it showed throughout the course of this conversation. I appreciate you, brother, for traveling down to do this recording. And until next time, TPE family, peace.
Tap into the Pivot Experience, where we help young, hungry entrepreneurs move on to the next step.